Hello, everyone. I'm asking for advice on how to stop falling for toxic and narcissistic men who only use me. I've been to a psychologist, but I've only wasted my money. I've read that the reason is an unhealed wound that I have inside me, and that's why I fall for the same model of men. I'm a mother of an 8-year-old child. I consider myself beautiful and successful in everything I do, but the problem with these men is literally destroying me mentally and pushing me that I won't find the right person.
Okay, first off, to the person who wrote this and to anyone who feels this way, thank you for sharing this. And I really need you to hear this. The problem isn't your worth. It has nothing to do with your value as a person. What you're up against is a pattern. And the best thing about a pattern, it can be understood and it can absolutely be changed.
So, let's dive right in. We have to understand why this keeps happening. And the first thing to get is that this isn't just a string of bad luck. You're not consciously looking for bad people. It's actually about something way more subtle, a pull towards a familiar emotional feeling.
Now, this concept, repetition of the script, is so important. Our brains are kind of funny. They're not wired to seek out what's healthy for us. They're wired to seek out what's familiar. So if your emotional childhood felt intense or chaotic or like you constantly had to earn love, well, you might find yourself drawn into that same feeling in your adult relationships simply because it feels like home.
And that's exactly why the beginning feels so electric, right? It's like a movie. You get this fire hose of attention and adoration. There's this magnetic charisma and this feeling that it's destiny. And all of that hooks right into that deep down part of us that wants to feel chosen, to finally prove that we're worthy of that kind of overwhelming love.
But here's the crucial part. What feels like a once-in-a-lifetime soulmate connection is very often a huge dopamine rush. It's a chemical high. You're not addicted to the person. You're addicted to the emotional roller coaster. The incredible highs make you forget about the devastating lows that always follow. Healthy love, you'll find, feels a lot calmer.
Okay, so let's talk about the root of all this. The word wound gets used a lot, but it's important to know it's not always about one big, single trauma. A lot of the time, it's something way more subtle.
Maybe you grew up with a parent who is just unpredictable, super loving one minute and cold the next. Or maybe love always felt conditional, like you had to get good grades or be on your best behavior to receive it. That kind of thing creates a lack of stable emotional security, and that becomes the blueprint we take into our adult lives.
And this is the programming that gets activated without us even realizing it. The unconscious thought is something like this. Wow, this person is a challenge. They're hard to please. Kind of like how love felt when I was young. If I can just get them to choose me, to finally stay with me, then it will prove that I'm finally enough. I'll have fixed the original problem.
Now, I want to completely flip the script on something here. You might be thinking there's some kind of flaw in you that attracts these personalities. Well, I'm here to tell you it's the exact opposite. Your greatest strengths are actually what's acting as the magnet.
Think about it. The person who wrote in said they're successful and beautiful. You're a person with resources, emotional resources, maybe financial ones. You have deep empathy, you're caring, you're stable. These are not weaknesses, they're assets. But for a person who lacks those things internally, you look like a gold mine.
So, the big question, how do we break the cycle? Well, it's not about changing who you are at your core. It's about developing new skills and installing a new filter. So let's get into some real concrete strategies you can use.
Here are your 4 big ones. Number 1, and this is everything, slow the pace way down. These dynamics thrive on speed and intensity. If you slow it down, they often lose interest and move on. 2, become an expert at watching actions, not listening to words. We'll hit that again in a second. 3, learn to spot the red flags before you're emotionally invested. And finally, number 4, check in with yourself. Your body knows the truth long before your brain does.
Think of this slide as your new compass. You have to stop being hypnotized by the words and start becoming a detective of their actions. Words are so easy, but do their actions show consistent respect? When they promise to change, is there actual sustained effort, or is it just words again? Consistent behavior over time is the only truth that matters.
And here are some of those early red flags to put on your radar. If they say every single one of their exes was crazy, that's a huge one. If they're talking about marriage on date 3, that's not romance, that's a tactic. And pay very close attention to that so-called humor that just feels like a little jab. It's not a joke, it's a test.
This right here might be the most powerful tool you have. After you spend time with someone, just pause and check in with your body. Do you feel calm,
grounded, secure? Or do you feel anxious and confused? Is your stomach in knots? We're so often taught to mistake that feeling of anxiety for chemistry or sparks. It's not. It's your nervous system screaming that something is off.
So this brings us to the final, and I think most empowering idea. This whole journey isn't about fixing something that's broken inside you. It's about learning to adjust the filter for who and what you let into your life.
And please, let's just bust this myth right now. You do not have to be perfectly healed to deserve a healthy, loving relationship. That idea keeps so many wonderful people feeling stuck and unworthy. You are deserving of healthy love right now, exactly as you are.
So what's truly needed are skills. The skill to recognize the pattern when you see it. The skill to know the difference between that chaotic firework intensity and the slow, warm burn of real intimacy. And this last one is so key, learning to tolerate and even enjoy the calm of a secure relationship. At first, it might feel boring if you're used to the roller coaster, but that boredom, that's actually peace.
So let's end on this thought. This is the new truth. You are not a person who is destined to attract narcissists. You are a strong, caring, resourceful person who is simply learning how to adjust their filter. And the fact that you're even exploring this means you've already started the work. The question is no longer, what's wrong with me? The question is now, what does healthy connection truly feel like? And that is a question you now have the tools to answer.